Hello and good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Tara Kendrick, and this is your part two of the Secrets of Successful Retirement webinar series we're doing this year. And the topic today is Social Security. And this can be a fun topic to discuss, but it also can be very complicated. So there's no test or quiz at the end. And if you have specific questions you want to ask about your individual situation, please send me an email at Tara, T-A-R-A, at srctexas.com or bill at srctexas.com. And we're happy to discuss your individual strategies with you. All right. So, how do we help a senior resource center? Well, we do comprehensive retirement planning, looking out at, what do you need to not outlive your money over the course of your lifetime, kind of looking at 30-year plans. And we've got great software to do that, creating a budget for yourself, and then looking at what kind of income you want in retirement and how you can extend that or make additional income to enjoy a good retirement. We also do tax planning to pay less tax. We are not tax preparers, but we do have strategies in finding smart solutions to help you pay less taxes over time. We also do a lot of long-term care planning, and that is including federal and state programs like VA and Medicaid. And then we do overall estate planning, make sure you have your legal documents in order, making sure you have the right legal documents, finding ways to avoid probate and things like that. All right, so like I said, this is one of many webinars that we'll be doing over the course of the next few months. And last week, if you missed it, the webinar about inflation is now posted on our website under resources. You can go back and click on the webinar and listen to it. This week, of course, is Social Security. And then next week, we'll be talking about how to plan wisely for and in your retirement accounts. So you can just peruse the list of these, as well as you can go on our website to where you sign up for our webinars, and you can look and see all the different topics so you can choose the topics you'd like to hear about. All right. So we have to do a disclaimer, of course. So I'll just read this real fast. Everyone's situation is unique. Actual results will vary. Historic performance is no guarantee of future performance. And if Congress does not address the solvency of Social Security, future benefits may be reduced. Any reforms implemented by Congress could reduce your future benefits. All right, so how this Secrets to Successful Retirement webinar series got started was based on Bill's book, More Money for Retirement. And the big theme about the book is control the things you can control. And one of the things you can control is your income. And what we've found over time with clients is that income tends to be more important than the amount of assets they have. So if they have minimal assets, max assets, that if you know, regardless of what the stock market does, regardless of what the world is going on and around in the world, if you have income coming in every month that you know that you can live a comfortable lifestyle, then it doesn't matter what's going on in the world. You can feel safe and sleep well at night. All right. So what's the problem with retiring and money and income and all that? Well, the reality is that we're just living longer. We're not retiring at age 55 or 60 and taking 2 or 3 years of pensions and then keeling over. People are living into their 80s, 90s, and we actually have quite a few clients who are living into their hundreds. And so what does that mean? That means there's more risk. Then you have to think about, are you going to outlive your money? Are you going to outlive your money and not have anything to leave behind for a legacy, or to care for yourself during long-term care, which can be the most expensive thing during retirement. Another problem is that people make choices about when to take Social Security based on false information from friends, and they end up making very costly decisions because they didn't think through their own particular scenario. Because The reality is everybody's scenario is different. Yours is not the same as your neighbor or your sister or brother. It's just not. And so you have to decide what makes the most sense for you and your family, or you and your spouse. So we always look at Social Security as part of a three-step process. The first thing is you need to decide, how much money do you need to live on to have a budget, that you're going to be enjoying retirement, enjoying your lifestyle. How much is that amount? And then part of that income coming in to create that lifestyle budget is your Social Security. So what can we do to maximize the amount you're going to get over a lifetime? And then if there's a shortfall, now we have to figure out a way to create additional income to make up that gap. And that's something that Bill and I can help you with. All right, so things you need to know about Social Security. There are many claiming options. As an individual person, you have less choices than you do as a couple, but there are claiming options. The decisions you make today can have consequences, good or bad, in the future. So if you make wise choices and wait until 70 to claim, well, you're going to actually get more money over your lifetime. If you choose to take it early, then a smaller number will always stay smaller. When you do make decisions, you have to think about your spouse. How you choose to take your Social Security can affect how much they get when you're gone. And so that's something to consider. Social Security system does need to be changed. It does need to be reformed. And Social Security does not provide financial counseling. So don't ever assume that when you head up to the Social Security office, that they're going to give you the best scenario for you. The reality is they're going to tell you, oh, you're 64 or 66 or whatever. Sure, yeah, go ahead and file. Here's the paperwork and be done with it. They're not going to say, well, maybe if you wait 2 more years, or could you work a little longer, you might actually be able to get more. They don't do things like that. That's not their job. All right. So will Social Security be there for me? Probably the majority of you who are on the call today, the answer is yes. For myself, being a younger Gen X, maybe not. We'll see. But what they need to do, what Congress needs to do, is they need to create some reform. They need to change things. One of the ways is they can increase the maximum earnings subject to Social Security tax. Right now, Social Security is taxed up to $147,000 in 22-22. Maybe we raise the amount of earnings you get that gets taxed. Maybe we raise the 8-year full retirement age. Right now, it's 66 and 67. People like me might get lower benefits in the future. That might be an issue to help those who are receiving Social Security today. And maybe they reduce the cost of living adjustments. All these things can happen if they choose to do it, and they need to do it sooner than later so that we have Social Security for future generations. All right, so we're going to go over some insights today. The first one is that Social Security is inflation protected. And what does that mean? That means that your income with Social Security is going to go up with cost of living, and that every dollar you put into Social Security, we want to make sure you get out. So we want to make sure that you are smart about when you collect it and how you collect it. And what I mean by that is, let's say you have $2,000 today. You sign up for Social Security, you get $2,000 today, and you live more than 10 years. You'll have received over $270,000 in lifetime benefits. But let's say you live 20 years. That's $619,000 that you're going to receive over a lifetime. And if you live in 30 years, you're going to receive over $1 million. And this is, income you can't outlive. It will stay with you as long as you're living. And these numbers are based on a 2.6 annual cost of living adjustment. This year, there was over 5% cost of living adjustment. Other years are less, but that's basically the average, is what they're averaging in these numbers here. The nice thing about Social Security, it's one of the few sources of income that grows with cost of living. So for example, let's say you sign up today and your full retirement age amount is $2,000. Well, in 10 years, it'll be $2,500 a month. 20 years, $3,300 a month, and in 30 years she'll be making $4,320 a month. A lot of times people have pensions, and pensions are good, and we're glad that we have them for those that still have them, but a lot of times it's a fixed amount. So what you can get for $1,000 today is not what you can get for $1,000 in 30 years. So this is just, again, one of the reasons why it's super smart to make a wise Social Security choice of when you claim so that you can maximize the amount you get over a lifetime. All right, so how much can you plan on receiving? Well, it depends on a few things. One is how much you earned over your working career. And then again, like we've talked about, it's when you apply, how old you are when you apply. There's also different types of claiming strategies depending on your situation. So as an individual, you can only claim on yourself. But let's say you were married, are married, divorced, or you're a surviving spouse, you're going to have additional choices when you have those scenarios. Now, how Social Security is calculated is a little complicated, but basically they're just taking your highest 35 years of earnings and they're averaging them. So some people say, well, I've got a few holes in my career, early on, so you're going to get zeros. Is it worth working a couple more years at the end? Absolutely. And the reason why is probably because you're going to have higher earning years towards the end of your working career, and those amounts, that amount of money can actually fluctuate or increase the amount of payout you're going to get over your lifetime when you sign up. So it can be worth it, and it's worth having a conversation and trying to figure that out for yourself. All right, so the most important thing is, when do I apply? Do I apply now? Do I apply later? Do I wait for my spouse? And those things are very good questions, and they can be tricky. And so that's why it's worth talking to someone about it. So insight number 2 is your monthly benefit will be reduced if you claim early. So if I claim at 62, I'm going to get less than I would if I claimed at my full retirement age, or if I waited and let it roll up to age 70. The amount that you get, so that gross amount that you see when you go on ssa.gov and you look up your full retirement age amount, you have to also remember it can be reduced for taxes. You're going to have your Medicare premium taken out of it, and depending on if there's any benefits that are withheld from work. So those are all things to consider when you're looking at that amount and deciding when you want to claim. And kind of going back to what I was saying about not taking advice from a friend or a neighbor, or making decisions based on what somebody else did. It's because, there are decisions you have to make for yourself. Are you healthy? If you have cancer and, you're 64 and you don't have that much longer to live, well, it's worth taking the money now, especially if you were single. If your life expectancy is long, if your parents and grandparents lived into their 90s, probably worth waiting, because you're probably, based on genetics, going to live a longer life. What if I need income now? This is it. This is the only source of income I have, and I don't have a choice. Well, then maybe you need to take it, whether you're taking it before your full retirement age or not. Are you still working? Do you want to continue to work? Those are good questions. And then you need to consider your spouse, and you need to consider, what if you die, and what kind of spousal benefit will you be leaving behind? And that's real important too, possibly. And we always tell people to maximize the highest earners benefit by allowing them to roll up and wait until age 70, so that if they pass away, the surviving spouse gets the max amount that they could get. All right, so what is full retirement age? Well, you can look here. Usually it's between 66 and 67 currently. So if you're within those limits, obviously there's 66 and 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, but basically it's either 66 or 67. So what happens if I decide to claim early? Well, let's look at the very right column, the age 67 column. So if I decide at age 62 to claim, I'm not going to get 100% of my full retirement age payout. I'm only going to get 70% of that number. Once I do that, I cannot undo that. So I'm going to get that smaller number, and then it is going to stay smaller for the rest of my life. Now, if I wait 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and I will get a higher percentage each, and that's actually each month. So each month it can change. So you don't have to wait to your 65th birthday or your 66th birthday. You'll get a percentage, but until you wait and claim at your full retirement age, you're going to get less than 100% of what you should have gotten. Now, what if you wait beyond age 67? Well, as you can see, you're going to actually get a delay in credits. You're going to actually increase your payout 8% every year. So at age 66, you can see that if I wait to age 70, I'm going to get 132%, or at age 67, 124% of what I would have gotten at my full retirement age. And every month and every year I wait between my full retirement age and age 70, I'm maxing out or getting additional money above and beyond my full retirement age amount. And so that's when it's real important to consider that your bigger number is going to stay bigger for the rest of your life. So it's worth waiting if you can. So this slide and this graph is probably the most important slide in our presentation. And what it's basically showing is the impact of when you claim. So if you look at the far left, you can see the triangle line at age 62. Now, yes, you are receiving payments over time. You're getting money early, which is good. But let's look over at the age 70 line, which is the squares. And if you see that the three lines, and especially those two lines, they kind of meet at age 78. And that's the break-even point. So if you know that you're going to live beyond or to age 78, 79, it's worth waiting. And so as you can tell, if you follow that age 70 line, it shoots all the way up to the far right corner, and showing that the difference between claiming at 62 and claiming at 70, that's a $250,000 swing if you lived to age 91. So it really does make a difference if you're going to live past 78 to go ahead and wait as long as you can and wait until claim to age 70. All right, so what can you do to maximize your benefits? Well, the first thing to do is to go at ssa.gov and look up your Social Security statement. We used to receive these in the mail every year, and then they stopped sending them out, but you can always go and create an account for yourself and just make sure it's accurate. Are there any years that you were self-employed and the IRS did not report to Social Security about your benefits? You might want to get with your CPA or call IRS and make sure that those gaps are filled in. Can you improve what you get over a lifetime by working 2 or 3 or 4 more years to maximize and increase the payout? Because when you look at the Social Security website, it's saying, what's your projected amount today? You can't calculate if I worked 2 or 3 more years, but know that it's going to take the average of the highest earnings over the last 35 years. Okay, so some people ask us, should I go ahead and take Social Security, before my full retirement age if I'm still working? And it really doesn't make sense unless you're making under $19,000. So because the problem is, for every dollar in benefits will be withheld for every $2 you earn over $19,560. So a lot of times most people are making more than that. So for every $2 you're earning, they're going to take $1 away from your Social Security check. And most likely you're going to file and then you're going to get nothing back. The year before your full retirement age, the amount changes a little bit. They'll take $1 away for every $3 you earn over $51,000 in $960. But then the benefit adjusts at full retirement age. So if you wait for full retirement age and then you claim and you're still working, you can get 100% of your benefits. So you can get your paycheck at age 66, 67 and still work. and get your full Social Security check. But if you do it any earlier than your full retirement age, there is an offset. So you just have to consider that if you're working and you're thinking about also taking Social Security. People ask us all the time about, is Social Security tax? And it is. Reagan set up Social Security taxation in the 80s, and then Clinton again increased it. And these numbers actually haven't changed since then. But just for example, because people always seem to get confused, I'll just use the married filed jointly piece. If your provisional income is under $32,000, then none of your Social Security is taxed. But if your provisional income is between 32 and 44, up to 50% of your Social Security is taxed. And then if you're making over 44,000, up to 85% of your Social Security is taxed. It's not taxed at 85% or 50%. It's taxed at your tax bracket, but it's up to 50% of that amount that can be taxed. So that's something to also consider when you're looking at calculating how much your Social Security check will be when it comes to you. All right. So just to kind of wrap up, if you apply early, like we've said again and again, your benefit will start lower and it'll stay lower for life. Your cost of living adjustments will magnify the impact of earlier delayed claiming. So again, going back to that chart, if you're going to live past 78, it's worth holding off and maximizing your Social Security. Your benefit, like we said, can be taxed or reduced to cover Medicare premiums, and maximizing what the higher earner gets can help the surviving spouse get more income when the main spouse passes. Okay, so insight number 3, for couples, you should always maximize the highest earner's benefit to protect the surviving spouse. We just want to make sure that you're doing everything you can, because you're going to step up to the highest earner's benefit to allow that benefit to be high, because you can't get both. You can't get yours and your surviving spouse's benefit. You get the higher of the two. So if you're going to leave your spouse with something, leave them with a higher amount, and it's worth waiting. So with spousal benefits, when you're living, you can do something called a spousal benefit. And what it is you can get half of the primary worker's full retirement age amount. So here's an example. We have John. He's at full retirement age. He claimed and he got $2,000 a month. Now, Jane, at her full retirement age, based on her work history, she can get $800 a month. But what she could do instead, if she's at full retirement age, she can actually apply for her husband's or her spousal benefits, which is 1/2 or 50% of John's. So if they went off their own work history, they would get $2,800 a month. But if Jane claimed spousal benefits, she would get $1,000, and then collectively they would have $3,000 a month. So that's something to consider. Now, remember, in order to get the max 50%, the full retirement age amount that John gets, Jane has to also apply at full retirement age. If she applies earlier, she'll get less. So, like I said, the primary worker has to have filed for benefits when you're married and you want to get spousal. Okay. A spouse must be at least 62, so you can claim early for spousal benefits, but you're going to get a reduced amount. And then there's no delayed credits on spousal benefits after the full retirement age. All right, so how do you coordinate spousal benefits? One thing that we would strongly recommend when you are trying to decide how to coordinate spousal benefits is to come see us. We have this great program through a company called Horse's Mouth, which is one of the top Social Security experts in the nation. And we can create different scenarios. All we need from you is your Social Security information that states, here's what my full retirement age would be at age 66 or 67. And here's what I would get, or what they're projecting I would get at age 70. And then what we do is we plug the numbers in and we say, okay, If John and Jane apply at 62, how much would they get? What if they have waited until age 66? What if one waited and one got spousal? What if they both waited to 70? What if one waited to 70 and the other one didn't? All these scenarios can create big impacts on how much you get over a lifetime. So if you want something like that, please send me an email, send Bill an email, and we're happy to set up a time to meet with you and look at, how we can maximize those benefits. Now, if you are have been married before, or widowed, or divorced survivor, divorced spousal, all these things, these are all different strategies that you can use to maximize what you get. So divorced, widowed, divorced and survivor, divorced and spousal, these can create ways that you can look at and say, which one is the one that's going to give me the highest payout? And that's the one I want to go with. There are two real key factors to survivor benefits that are important that some people don't consider. The first one, so this is, I'm a spouse, my husband's deceased, and it really depends on when he claimed. Okay, so if he claimed early, I'm going to get less than if he waited. Okay, so it's based on when he actually claimed his original benefit, and it also depends on when I claim as the widow, and those two events can change how much I receive. So let's look at this. If the spouse dies while both are receiving benefits, so this I'm kind of switching gears a little bit. So back to the slide before, this is based on the person's already deceased. Okay, so when they died, if they died early and they claimed early, that's going to affect my benefit, and then it depends on when I claim it. Now, let's say Joe and Julie are married and they're both over full retirement age. So Julie's benefit's $2,000, Joe's is $1,200, and then Julie dies. So Joe notifies Social Security, and then he would move up to the higher payment. He will lose his payment, so he's going to lose his $1,200, but he gets to step up to her $2,000. So that's why we say try to maximize the highest earner maximum amount so that this person is able to get the maximum amount when the other person dies. Okay. So here's some rules for survivor benefits. And I know this is a fire hose of information, and you do not have to remember all these things. The good news is you just have to remember our phone number or our email address, and we're happy to help you out. So I just want to give that disclaimer one more time. All right. So rules for survivor benefits. The couple must have been married at least 9 months at the date of death, except for an accident. The survivor must be at least 60 for reduced benefit or full retirement age for full benefit. So again, if I'm the survivor, I can go and claim early, but I'm going to get less than I would if I waited to my full retirement age. Okay. The survivor benefit is not available if the widow remarries before 60. So if I am dating someone and I decide we're going to get married, it would be beneficial for me to wait until I was 61 to get married in order to have the option to either, one, claim my survivor benefit, or two, claim on my new spouse. So it actually gives me the freedom to make a decision between one or the other. And, I can wait and claim on the higher one, or I could claim on my survivor benefit while my new spouse's benefit rolls up to 70, and then I could go and claim spousal benefit, or half of his, if that is higher than my survivor benefit. So you're claiming now on survivor, and then as long as I get married after 60, I can claim on my new spouse. Another option is divorced spouse survivor benefits are available if the marriage lasted at least 10 years. So if I was married for at least 10 years, I've been divorced, but then that spouse died, I can also claim on those benefits. So for the same divorce, spouse, and survivor benefits, the marriage had to lasted at least 10 years or more. The person receiving the divorce spouse benefit is currently unmarried. So I have to be unmarried to receive that divorced spouse benefit. That's not a divorced spouse survivor. That's just a divorced spouse. So I was married to someone for 10 years. We got divorced and I want to claim on that benefit. I have to be unmarried. Otherwise, I automatically am only allowed to claim on my new spouse's benefit. My ex-spouse has to be at least 62, but he actually does not have to be claiming. So that's an interesting thing. So if the divorce was more than 2 years ago, the ex-spouse does not have to have filed for benefits. Okay. Now, the other crazy thing is that, let's say, for whatever reason, I was married 3 different times, and each time I was married over 10 years. I can actually go back and look and decide which spouse benefit I want to claim on. And that spouse never has to know that I'm claiming on his benefit. And then he or she, if he or she was married more than once, all 3, let's say 3 marriages, all 10 years, all 3 of those spouses can claim on that spouse's benefit and they still get the same amount. It's not divided. So it is kind of crazy, but that's the way it works. All right, so what can Social Security do and what they can't? So they can estimate individual benefits. They can tell you how much you're entitled to now. What they cannot do is project what future benefits you'll get, how much you'll get over a lifetime, and they don't have innovative strategies because they don't do counseling. So that's where you need someone like us to help you or someone else to help you to figure out what you're going to maximize your benefits over a lifetime. But in the big picture, Social Security is just one piece, right? I mean, there are a lot of people who live on Social Security alone, but if you want to maximize your lifestyle in retirement, you also have to look at this is just one piece. It's an important piece because it's one of the few that grow with inflation to consider in Social Security in your retirement. So you also have to look at, what kind of pensions you have, how much do you have in your IRAs, how much are you going to have to pull out of your IRAs and 401ks every year when you are having to take required minimum distributions? How much do you have in your investment portfolio? Do you want to work? Do you want to retire? Do you want to continue working? These are all things you need to consider. So I'm just going to give you a couple, just real quick, couple of examples. This one's a single person. So here's Susan. She's 62 and her full retirement age is 67. So at full retirement, she'll get $2,500 a month. So I know this is kind of small, but if you look at her age 62, scenario 1, if she claimed at 62 and she lived to age 90, she would get over $800,000 of benefits over her lifetime. However, if she waited to the bottom age, the scenario 3, she would be at age 90, have collected $1.1 million in benefits over a lifetime from Social Security. I mean, that's a $309,000 swing. So that's really something to consider when you're looking at, should I claim now? Should I wait for retirement age? Or should I wait until age 70 when I can max out my benefit? Because like we say, smaller number stays smaller, larger number continues to grow. And then our small example for a couple is, this is Roy and Jill. They're both age 64. At full retirement age, Roy's going to get $2,790. Jill gets $762. We're assuming that Roy is not going to live as long as Jill, just statistically, based that men don't live as long as women. So he's going to live to age 85, we're assuming, and she's going to live to age 90. All right. So we have 3 scenarios that we put together here. Scenario 1, Jill and Roy claim at age 64. So they're claiming early. They'll get $1.2 million collectively over a lifetime. Scenario 2, they both wait till full retirement age, and collectively they're going to get $1.3 million over a lifetime. It's a $100,000 swing, not too bad. But scenario 3 is the biggest jump. We have Jill's going to claim at age 66. So she's going to go ahead and take her money early. or not early, but at full retirement age. And Roy is going to allow his to roll up to age 70. And they're the scenario over a lifetime, the two of them, one because he waited to age 70, but two, his waiting to age 70 allows her to have a higher spousal benefit. They're going to have $1.5 million over a lifetime. And that's close to 272, $300,000 more than they would have gotten had they waited and claimed early. So I know that was a lot of information. We really appreciate you hearing from us and being on this Social Security webinar. We would love to help you navigate through all this. You don't have to know all these strategies. This is what our expertise is for. This is how we use horse's mouth. When we have complicated situations, they're our partner in helping maximize Social Security and helping you have the best plan. So please email or give us a call. Our emails are our first name at srctexas.com, Bill at srctexas.com, or Tara at srctexas.com. You're welcome to shoot us an email. We can set up a time to meet. If you have a complicated question, we're happy to answer it or get the answer for you. And with that, we also are going to give you a free PDF version of the second edition of our book, and I'll be emailing that out today or tomorrow. If you want a hard copy, we now have hard copies of the book, and we will mail it out to you for free. We're totally happy to do that. We're excited about the second edition. It has all the updated numbers for 2222. Just shoot us an email, give us a call, give us your address, your physical address, and we're happy to mail you out a copy. So don't forget, every Tuesday for the next few weeks at 10 a.m., we'll be doing these webinars. And I will also, in that email, I will send you a link so you can sign up for the next webinar all about how to maximize retirement plans. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye, and I hope you have a happy, happy Tuesday. Have a great week. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye-bye.